No, 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 no. We can't let you do it. Can't let you do it. It's not going to happen. So I'm going to have a response to your video that you are choosing to put out there about Darla Routier and her innocence. So that's all it is. Fair use under Title 17 for commentary purposes. I'll be doing a review of this TikTok.
Hey guys, it is Sully and I'm here to do a new video. After I posted quite a few people who have direct messaged me stating that they have an interest in the Darley case. So I'm just going to continue today. Last night I kind of gave you a breakdown of Darley and an overview of the case. But today let's get into the day of the crime. And then I want to start introducing you to some of the investigators and some of the key players in this case, and some of the analysts and forensic investigators that will go on to testify in Darley's capital murder trial. So, the day of the crime. So, I had talked about in a previous video, the one about Barbara Jovell, that her and Barbara had kind of had a falling out.
Where's this falling out come from? Where's there any testimony of them having a falling out? There's no testimony of them having a falling out. As a matter of fact, she referred to Darley as her friend. She'd known her for 9 years. They worked at Colplex together. So where's this falling out coming from? Is it in the testimony? But wait, there's more. So where's this falling out at, right? You can see right here. This is Toby Shook, and he's got Beja Jovell on the stand, right? And she refers to her as friend. And she would even be, confident enough to tell her these things. That she felt like committing suicide. And if Domain hadn't dragged those wrappers from under the bed, Darren would have never known. She told me she had the pills. Blah, blah. And did you talk to her home? Blah, 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 while you were there on vacation? I am friends with her. I've known her since about 87. Right? She's telling her everything. Her life story. Sometimes she just wants to end it all. She's telling her friend that she had a falling out with, her personal detail. Okay, here's proof that they didn't have a falling out. Okay, at one point in time while you were at the hospital visiting her, did Darley Routier ask other members, other people in the room to leave? Yes, sir. Did she have a conversation? Yes. Ma'am, you can keep your voice up, blah, blah, blah. Did she have a conversation with you after the others left? Yes, sir. Okay, tell the judge what she told you at that time. She was concerned about her sexual toys being in the house and police searching the house. Okay, did she tell you anything else at the time? No, and I've asked you not to go into another matter. No, she didn't. Unless the judge specifically told you, right? So don't even mention that at this time. This was Beja's advice to her was that she shouldn't worry about it. She just lost 2 children. She almost lost her life, and it shouldn't matter. You read that? Now here's a woman that you said that she had a falling out with, but she's telling her deepest secrets to. She had Barb Jovell go back to the house and get those sex toys. She's telling her all of her problems. She trusts her. She wants everybody else to leave the room. Where's this falling out at? When did this happen? Bad Sully.
Well, Barbara was still working at Testneck, and this is what I'm saying. I don't think they were in the middle of this huge fight and they weren't talking. I think their friendship had just kind of taken separate directions in life.
Well, where do you get this? Because she wanted to help her mom out, gave her a little job there. So where does this falling out? Where did it come from? You can't just be saying things. There was no falling out between them. None.
And that didn't mean that they weren't friends, but maybe they just weren't. They didn't have the same relationship that they once did. So you've heard me talk about Barbara.
I don't know. We've heard you talk about Barbara. We've heard you say that they've lost a friendship, but you have nothing to back that up. No testimony of that whatsoever, that there was a falling out between them. But you're going to sell that to the public as a fact, right?
So that morning, Barbara goes to work. Darren takes Darlie's car to work because his Jaguar is in the shop.
He had been driving her car for quite a while. That Jaguar was in the shop and needed an $800 oil sending unit that they couldn't afford to have it fixed. Darlie didn't like to drive the car because Jaguars sit low like Corvettes do, and you have to have kind of long legs to drive one. She didn't like to drive that car. She hated it.
So Darlie is at home with her 3 children, and that morning Barb's mother, whose name is Helena, and she will also...
Her name is Halina, Halina.
...go on to testify at the trial. And if you guys are interested, she has quite an interesting background.
Now, she's saying she has quite an interesting background, right? But her background, and that would be, she wants to speak about her character, right? She has quite an interesting background. So she tries to set this up right away, but listen.
Too. Okay, so Helena comes over that morning and Darlie pays her to help, do some laundry around the house and get the house picked up and cleaned up. And in anticipation, I think because they were...
Why is she paying other people to clean her house? The house is not that big. It's not. Why is she paying other people to do this? Laziness. Laying around. There's periods of time that she stayed in her room for weeks. That didn't make it to trial. But why is she paying other people to clean that house? It's not that big.
Going to celebrate Devin's 7th birthday, and Devin wanted nothing more than to be 7 in the world.
The house wasn't being cleaned that weekend for any particular reason, because if you listen to Darlie's testimony, she had been having people clean her house for almost 2 years. Helena was on her 4th day working there. So having the house cleaned was a regular thing that Darren had to pay for.
Every day he would ask Darlie, when am I going to be 7? When am I going to be 7? And this is important to remember when we go on to talk about another really important event in this case, which is now referred to as the Silly String video. So that morning, Helena comes over to clean. Barbara and Darren and Darlie's sister Dana had all gone to Testneck that day, and Darlie was at home with the
Tesneek.
3 boys. So that day, her and Helena get some cleaning done. There is the babysitter, Renee. She's about 12 years old. She is kind of help keeping an eye on baby.
This is the same. Renee is the same babysitter that testified that, her parents trusted her over at Darlie's house so they can hang out. And Darlie was giving this girl Zimas and sharing marijuana with them and giving them cigarettes. That's in the testimony, too, about Rebecca.
Drake, while Darlie is doing some cleaning, but also kind of doing some resting and relaxing herself.
Darlie's not doing any cleaning whatsoever. If you have paid people to come in your house, you're not cleaning, you're resting, and you're relaxing.
So during this time, Helena is going to testify that she sees Drake falling over. She sees him fall out of the high chair. She thought at one point that Darlie would...
Also, if you read Helena's testimony, she says that Renee kind of Rebecca kind of signals Helena about Drake, too, so...
was
about Damon. Oh, no, about Drake.
Suffocating him by swaddling him.
No, it wasn't suffocating him by swaddling him. What Helena seen was something totally different than that. She felt like that she was squeezing the baby too tight. But listen to her excuse. Listen to this.
So she's from Poland, and I just don't know if she really has...
Yeah, because if you're from Poland, you can't tell when a baby's being swaddled too tightly. You can't tell when a baby's face is turning almost blue. This is not what she mentions here. But if you're Polish, you can't figure that out because you're Polish, right?
Clear understanding of maybe how Americans and the cultural differences
Yeah, well, and it doesn't matter what language you speak. If someone is smothering you and choking you, you will turn blue. And that's what Helena was saying.
Differences between raising babies is because some people do not believe in swaddling, etc.
No. Most people don't believe in swaddling so tightly that your baby is sweating and turning blue.
At any rate, I mean, all of the boys were well taken care of. Even the medical examiner will go on to state in trial that none of the boys...
You mean these same medical examiners that said her wounds were superficial? That she acted very oddly and flat? Those medical examiners that you guys keep saying lied on the stand? You keep saying they lied on the stand. But when it suits you, well, the medical examiner said that the boys were fine. But you keep saying that they're liars, so which is it? Which could you have?
Show any signs of abuse, malnourishment. They are all happy, healthy boys. And all of their teachers, neighbors, friends, and family said that
all of their teachers, neighbors, friends, and family. How many teachers testified? How many teachers gave a statement? How many neighbors? There were neighbors that complained about the boys running around so much. Construction workers had to bring them back from the construction where they were playing and stuff. It was all of the neighbors, friends, and family, and teachers. All these people. All of them. Where'd they say this at? You got any evidence of it? All of the people. All of his teachers. All of them. All the neighbors. You got any evidence of that, or?
Boys were nothing but happy, and that Darlie and Darren were great parents. So I kind of would question Helena's testimony when it comes to baby Drake at that time.
Why would you question Helena's testimony, right? Because you're saying all these people are saying this about her, right? Well, how many of the people worked for Darlie? How many of the people saw Darlie inside of her house? Where is their testimony? Where is it? So since you hear that all these people have this hearsay that we've never seen, just you, somebody that can get on the stand and testify for her. So you're just going to dismiss Helena's testimony right now, but listen to this.
Also, Drake is her third child, and I feel like you just kind of let go of some of that helicopter parenting when you're on your third child. So that day, all of this has gone down. The boys go out to play. Darlie makes a chicken noodle soup type dish for dinner. Barb comes back and leaving. They A, see Darren and Dana coming back from work, and B, as they're driving away, and this is in the testimony, you can hear Helena, or you can read Helena saying that there was a black car in the alley, and it appeared that they were poking their head in to the Routier garage, which is...
But just a moment ago, you were questioning her whole testimony. But when it suits you, that testimony is good, right? I would just have to question Helena's testimony because all of his friends and family and neighbors and NBC and CBS and all them said Darlie was a good... I just have to question Helena's testimony. Unless it benefits Darlie's case. Right? You betcha.
Believed to be the point of entry for the intruder theory. So, they see this black car. I believe that...
Do they really see it, or are you questioning their testimony?
Helena or Barb does tell Darren about this car, but basically they go on about their day. So not only is this black car seen, but Darlie is also...
Now you're taking something Helena and Barb said as a fact. Because you said that car was in the back alley there. There's lots of people that pull up in that back alley and back out to go back down Eagle and out Linda Vista because I did it myself. It's the easiest way out of that plat. But you want to believe what Helena says now. But listen.
This black car's been following her around. She's getting...
Black car following her around. Well, how's it following her around? Where's she been going? Because she's been stuck in the house with no car. So where's she been going and when's it been following around? Is it documented?
Prank phone calls.
No prank phone calls. Hang up phone calls. She said she got a couple hang up phone calls. Read the testimony.
A house, which is kind of alarming to me. It seems like she might have had a stalker. There's also an incident outside of the grocery store. And
yeah. Where's this incident outside of the grocery store at? Is this anything that's in testimony? You have a police report of it? Show me! Show us! Which is what you're about to scream at the end of this video.
And an incident of her talking on the phone with a man that was cursing and...
Yeah, there was a bickering thing going on about Darren's Jaguar in the shop. But I don't think your mechanic's going to come kill your kids because your car has been sitting there too long.
And I believe he was either unhappy with work that had been done through Testnet or with some kind of business dealings that Darren had going.
See, look at you. You don't even know what these phone calls are about. Business. Yeah, there's this call, and some guy called yelling at her that same day about some shady business dealing that Darren did. Where? Where? You're throwing out hyperbole.
At any rate, kind of all of this stuff is going on simultaneously. But the Routiers are going to eat dinner that night as a family, and then Darlie tells Darren, I'm tired. Let's go ahead and get Dana home.
She wanted to get Dana home because she said she wasn't feeling well. The fact is, Dana had been there for about 2 weeks. Dana said that she wanted to go be with her boyfriend. But Darlie says she wasn't feeling well, so she wanted Dana to go home. That's the only part in their testimony or in anywhere else where Darlie tells someone that she's not feeling well that night. Nowhere else that she says she's not feeling well that night. Now, check this out.
Let's get the family put to bed. So Darren takes Dana home. It takes, 30, 45 minutes.
It takes about 45 minutes to make a 15-minute drive back and forth. It was a long drive back and forth. It shouldn't have took that long. Shouldn't have took that long at all. Thinking you can read in one of the books about all this sitting with each other in the courtroom. All the sitting together in the courtroom. Darlie Key caught eye of it. But she told him it didn't look very good. And then they no longer sat together anymore in the courtroom. Just saying.
For him to take Dana home, drop her off, and come back to the house. There has been theories that there was an affair going on there. There's no evidence to support any of that, so I'm going to just dismiss that at this point.
Well, why didn't you dismiss the black car pulling up and looking in the garage? Because there's no evidence of that either. That was just something somebody said, right? Somebody that you're going to say is mentally ill later on, probably.
So Darren comes home. Darlie's got the baby Drake, laying on her chest. Darren picks him up, makes him a bottle, feeds him, and then he goes and puts him upstairs in his crib. Devin and Damon, the older two boys, were staying downstairs and had asked Darlie if they could watch TV, and they were playing with some of the kittens that the Routier family had, Persian cat.
I think it's a stuffed animal that they're talking about, but we'll move along.
And that is the crate that you see in the garage when the investigation starts.
That's also like when the intruder's looking around for a way to get in, and they would look in there and see that crate, and they'd see all that animal stuff. They would see that before they made the decision to go inside of that house. They would see that animals are there.
And everyone says it's a dog kennel. That's not true. It was a cat kennel because they were breeding and raising Persian cats. So the kids are playing with the kittens. The baby has been put to bed. Darlie and Darren do say that they have a talk that night. And there's been a lot of, obviously only the Routiers know what that conversation, what was really said. There's been everything said from, we were just having a conversation about the boys and life, and we were excited for some of our upcoming travels, and that Darlie wanted Darren to find a different way to work because being stuck at home with 3 boys and
she was very irritated about not having a car to drive. But she says nobody knows what was said. I'll show you what was said.
no car was really giving Darlie some anxiety, and so she had just asked Darren, "Hey, can you get a ride from Barb or from Dana?" And so
none of this is in the where you okay. Just you pulling it out of your forehead right now?
That I can have the car, and obviously Darren said that absolutely. So, you know, between that, I think they talked about some finances, and, you know, again, I can't say what else was included in that.
Well, sure you can. You can look up the affidavit of Darren Routier where he came back and said his wife asked him for a separation that night. And that they left that, it was an affidavit that he read in 2002. He said his wife asked him for a separation that night, but they both omitted that from the initial written statements that they put out. And I asked Danelle about that. And Danelle said that it's irrelevant. First she said Darlie couldn't remember, blah, blah, blah. Then she said it was irrelevant. That's why they left it out. No, it's very relevant because if there is a talk of a separation and then an hour later your kids are dead and you don't write it in that you had talk of this separation, that there were marital problems, and you're trying to pretend that you have this happy marriage when you don't, you're not very happy if you're looking for a separation, period. So you can skirt around this all you want to, because what really was said is she threatened a divorce again, and he told her to get the fuck out, is what happened. That's what happened.
Conversation. Do I think they talked about divorce? I don't really think they did.
You don't think they did? Even though the affidavit of Darren Routier says that they talked about separation?
You know, if they did, maybe it was dark.
You can't maybe.
Really saying, look, I need more help. We've got a 3rd child now. You're at work. You know, we've got jaguars and boats, and, you know, maybe we should sell the boat off and do some of that.
Why does she need more help for? My first wife took care of 4 kids while I worked. My second wife's taking care of these kids. They take care of themselves. Why would she need more help than the 2 maids that she's already got? Poor me.
So Darren is going to head upstairs after that conversation, and he goes to sleep at about...
First, Darren smokes half a doobie because it was found in his ashtray.
About 1:30. And so he's really only asleep for about 30 minutes.
If he's asleep at all.
Before he hears Darlie screaming. And so from Darren's point of view, he hears glass breaking and Darlie screaming. He puts on a pair of pants because he's sleeping naked, throws his glasses on, runs down the stairs, and he can see the crime scene. Darlie at this point has turned the lights on, and it is discovered kind of by both of them the reality and the brutality of this crime that's taken place in their living room. Everything is covered in blood. Darlie is bleeding all over the house. She's got a massive neck wound.
A massive neck wound? It's a superficial wound. Darren even says Darlie didn't even know she was hurt till I told her.
And so she immediately picks up the phone and calls 911 because that's the only thing she knows to do.
Now, if she had just stabbed her kids and then went out and sat on the porch and didn't call 911, how would that look? She had to call 911.
And there's only about maybe 5 minutes before EMTs get in the house.
The 911 call lasted 5 minutes and 46 seconds.
And so for people to say that Darlie didn't take life-saving measures, well, she didn't know CPR. She wet the rags.
Wetting the rags does not help stop bleeding. It doesn't. You never said what show she saw that on. Darlie, remember, she saw it on some show, and
again, for all of you haters out there, produce the report of the DNA playing off the rags.
Okay, when you produced the report of Barb Jovel and Darlie falling out, when you produced the lie detector results that you said you were going to ask Danelle about, produce it.
Shouldn't have to go ask Danelle. You guys don't need to make fun of me for never have seen it. Show it to me.
Show us half the stuff that you've been talking about on here. You're picking stuff out of the air.
Show it to me. Cite your sources. I'm doing my work. If you want to come at me, provide your work.
Cite your sources. And quit listening to other people when they tell you to make stupid videos.